Hey everyone, Casey Irvine here, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about using Copilot CLI to customize your terminal or CLI experience. And I had this idea for this video because I was in a presentation and I opened up my terminal and started using some of my custom commands and had my custom Oh My Posh. And some folks sort of stopped me and said, "Wait, what are you doing? We've never heard of those commands. What is this, terminal UI you have? How are you making it do that?" And I realized that one of my core memories as a junior developer was one of the more senior developers sort of sitting me down and saying, like, why are you entering all these commands by hand? Like, don't you know that you can have this like custom profile and you can have these shortcuts? And I especially think back to when I was watching Casey Muratori's Handmade Heroes series, and he kind of does something similar where he, sets up his Emacs, he sets up his build scripts, and clearly a much more terminal focused developer than you'll see that I am. But he really can fly around in sort of text based editors, and a lot of people can. I find myself somewhere kind of more in the middle where, I sort of came up in Java and Eclipse and Visual Studio, and then later on when Visual Studio Code came out, that was really my primary code editor for most things. As much as I tried to get into things like VI, and it's okay if you don't know what any of those things are. Maybe you're coming to the CLI for the first time. Maybe you're not in a traditional developer role, or you're just here to learn a little bit more about some of the outside the box things you can do with Copilot CLI. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and launch my terminal. Pro tip, you can use the Windows key plus the number of the icon here. So for me, my terminal is 4. So I'm just going to hit Windows key 4 to launch it. And I'm going to go ahead and make it big for you guys. And as you can see, like mine probably looks a little bit different than yours. This color here and the folder indicators from a plugin called Oh My Posh. And then you can see that it does something called loading my custom profile. And you don't have to worry about a ton of the details there. Really, what I want to bring to your attention is there are ways to customize your terminal experience. And obviously, on Windows, I'm using Windows Terminal. Maybe if you're on Linux, you're using something that's like Bash, and you have your own terminal emulator. And there's a few other ones out there that you can use. So the point of this video is to show you that you can use Copilot CLI to research these things and find out what kind of works best for you, and it's going to help you with that. So let me go ahead and launch Copilot, and you'll see that I have like a custom command to launch Copilot. So I just have the CC command linked to everything that I want to be able to do with Copilot. And we get into it there. And so one of the things that I know I really like to do is have sort of a separate pane, but that's not as big, to be able to manage like work trees and Git repos and things like that. So I have a shortcut to launch a side pane there, and you'll see that it brings up another window just like it in my working folder. So actually, I want to I'm going to kill out of this because I want to go to a different folder. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and launch the terminal again using Windows 4 again. So that brings up the terminal. And so I have a lot of my customizations saved to a Git repo, and I just have that checked in here under this personal config folder here. And you can see as soon as I'm in a Git repo, I get something from Oh My Posh that has my branch. And again, this is totally customizable. I think actually the demo I'm going to show you is how to use Copilot CLI to help you customize some of this. So I'm going to go ahead and launch into Copilot CLI. I'm going to turn streamer mode on just in case I'm using some models that you guys don't have access to yet. So you don't see those. Okay. Perfect. All right. And then for me, I like to have a little pane off to the side here. And this is, again, something that Copilot CLI helped me customize. So I just tell it what I want, and it's going to help me sort of figure these things out. But I like to have this little side pane here that has my my regular terminal with my Oh My Posh alongside my GitHub Copilot. And so maybe I just want to talk to it about something that I want to do or something that I don't like. So in this case, I maybe want this to be a little bit more vibrant, something a little bit that pops a little bit more. And I really like kind of like vibrant purple. Like this green is cool. It can maybe be a little bit more neon green to my taste. In fact, actually, why don't we make this a little bit more neon green? So let's see if Copilot can do that for me. Hey Copilot, I really like my Oh My Posh settings, but I'm wondering if you can make the GitHub branch sort of tag color. It's sort of a teal green right now. I wonder if you can make it more like a neon electric green, like something that really stands out and pops and almost looks like that annoying terminal green from like the 80s. I want that to be like pretty in your face. Can you help me make that customization? So I'm just using Handy to talk to do tech dictation, and then just to let Copilot do its thing. And there is a custom extension I'm working on that pops some text there, so I'm just going to make sure that it doesn't interrupt my session. I'm working on something kind of in the background here, so I don't want that to get injected. But you can see that it knows about like it can easily find my Oh My Posh settings. It's aware of it, and it's going to help me change that. Okay, so it's telling me to open up a new terminal tab, so I'm just going to go ahead and minimize and like open up a new tab here. Let's see what it came up with. And if I go back into the same directory, yeah, that's what we're talking about. That annoying neon green. That's the stuff. And so because I have this in my like a repo, it's loaded that change both. It knew to load that change both in the repo and in my personal settings. Some of that's using its past session context. I might have maybe needed to prep that or prompt it a little bit more if I was doing this for the first time. But it's pretty cool. I can just kind of give it an idea, and it's going to help me change my settings. Like I don't have to go digging in my settings to figure out how to change that. Same thing for setting up hotkeys in the terminal. If I want to just ask it, hey, can you help me set up the terminal keys to or hotkeys to do what I want, like that split pane. I can do that. I can even come back here and I can maybe even do like research, throw it into research mode and say something like, so I'm kind of new to the CLI. Are there some cool tools that I should be using to manage my CLI work, or that I should think about using for my CLI workflows? Anything like Tmux or something like that. So you maybe can throw it on research mode and ask a question like this. Tmux is something that's kind of like Windows Terminal, but it's a little, well, I say it's like it, but it's actually kind of like this add-on that runs inside of your terminal that helps you manage sort of tabs and panes, similar to like what I'm doing with Windows Terminal here. There isn't a version of Tmux for Windows, but there's something called PSMux that's close. But I like just using the plain Windows terminal. So while it's thinking, I'll also kind of briefly mention that I also have a bunch of aliases for different Git commands that I use, but I also have some customization too. So I have a command that's GUP, which is I think of as like Git update. And what it does is it does a pull, but before it does a pull, it stashes any changes. So if I go ahead and run that, it'll say like, hey, I'm saving your working state. And so it actually stashed this change for me before it pulled, and then it unstashed it. Or if I were to stage it and then do the same thing, if it were to have to pull changes down, it's going to go ahead and stash them for me and then like unstash them. So that way that like I never lose changes accidentally or have like weird conflicts that I'm not ready to deal with, because I just want it to like stash my changes before it does any kind of update. That's personal to my workflow, but it doesn't have to be just a straight alias of like a known command. I also use something called work trunk, and I have aliases for that. So I can do like get work trunk list, and it'll list like any work trunks that I have or work trees that I have. And work trees are like a cool concept that I don't necessarily want to dive into here, but it allows you to have like multiple branches and multiple folders, but just having one main clone of the repository. So it's really easy to have like multiple work streams with different agents working at the same time on different parts of the project or on different changes you want to make. And again, if you're not doing coding with the CLI, you're just maybe doing some other things. Maybe you're just using it to fetch Git issues, and you want to do that in a quick, easy terminal native way so that you can have it alongside your Copilot CLI. That's totally fine too. You don't have to necessarily worry about the Git stuff. And again, personally, I use Git to store my personalizations, but you don't have to. You could store it in OneDrive. You could store it in some other kind of cloud storage. You could even just have it locally on your machine if you're just using one machine, or you want to just copy it around. Like that's fine too. And again, the great thing is like Copilot can be your guide to a lot of this because it understands all the different shells and different customizations. So you can see the research finished, and it gave me a nice, like, cool list of some things I might want to try. And actually, honestly, like I might really go try some of these because some of them maybe I've heard of, some of them maybe I haven't. Um, but this is just an example of how I can use Copilot to try to optimize my setup. Um, and if this seems overwhelming at all, or don't necessarily know where to start, I would say focus on, maybe one or two areas that you want to make faster, or that you feel like you're kind of struggling, or it's just kind of like a headache. If you're finding yourselves typing out the full, like, git work tree, branch from, whatever the command might be, that's pretty long, like, see if you can focus on just how do you optimize that one command, or maybe a set of commands that you usually run. Like I was talking about, like how I do the stash before I pull. Like, maybe you can just optimize those few things, and that'll just start to, like, snowball into you're getting more and more of your workflows just kind of in single commands. Especially even things, maybe you even ask Copilot CLI to do a bunch, maybe fetch get issues. You could maybe have it write a little script that you then alias to a shortcut command. So instead of asking Copilot CLI to do it, which takes some time, spends some tokens, you instead have, like, a handy command and a little script to do that for you. So, like, for instance, like, I might ask it to list all my work trees for me, but I have a simple command that lists all my work trees for me, so I don't have to ask it, and it's going to be much faster. Um, so I hope this was helpful. Um, Again, this is sort of one of those experiences. I don't know if developers have this anymore, where they sit down and they have someone show them how to customize their CLI experience, or if they're really in the CLI that much. And it's what's interesting with these agentic CLI based tools like GitHub Copilot CLI. I do think we're seeing more people kind of discover the CLI for maybe the first time, or rediscover it if they haven't used it since they were in school or something like that. And so, maybe this is helpful for some folks. Leave some comments, questions, tell me what you think about the video. Yeah, happy coding, everyone.